F1 news and updates, the 30th of the 1st, 2025, and there's lots going on, a very many F1 centric thread which we need to pull. Piero Ferrari having conversations with Sir Lewis Hamilton frequently and often long before he ever decided he was going to move to Scuderia Ferrari. So too we need to talk about the legend that is Blake Hughes, ex-performance engineer of one Maximilian Verstappen and friend of the channel, just now put out a tweet taking aim at the sporting endeavour that is Formula One. We need to talk about Adrian Newey and this interview that he's given with AMUS, saying some techie things, talking about disagreement as far as the design philosophy tree that the Bulls that are red chose to continue up. So too need to talk about this edutainment stuff. Auto Sport Business Exchange. A lady called Donna Burkett Bader has said some things that I think need pulling apart, addressing in real time, because they are techie than techie things. And finally on the docket, over the next 10 minutes or less, Sir Lewis Hamilton, apparently not culpable, shouldn't be held accountable for his crash yesterday, second day or first day of testing, second session. Let's talk about Blake first, because Formula One's, for once, I've got to go scorched earth, but not necessarily at Mohammed Ben Sulayem. This is Formula One more broadly. Here's the tweet. Blake Hughes, legend of the Formula One space, content creator, ex-Max Verstappen performance engineer. Here's what Blake said. Do you want to know how fudged the cost cap in Formula One is? People in the sport don't talk about this because they can't, so I will. Let's go. Blake just had a loose conversation with a recruiter about an F1 race engineer gig. Their maximum salary was less than I was making last year as a part-time performance engineer in WEC World Endurance Championship on an LMDH team. Why aren't the team bosses advocating harder for increasing the cost cap to accommodate increased cost of living and inflation? What are we doing, chat? Billion-dollar business, multi-million-pound teams and drivers, and they're not even paying market rate for a chap like Blake Hughes of that caliber. Max Verstappen performance engineer. What are we doing, chat? Formula One is disconnected from the rest of the world. Are they even allowed to use scissors? Do they even live on the planet Earth in the one, the Fs? Oh yeah, Blake continues, because the teams are profitable, it's likely that the bosses and shareholders can pocket a chunk of whatever they don't spend. Retained profits, dividend, therefore. Blake continues, take your favourite F1 journalist and try to get them to put the question forward in their next press conference. I'm sure they can phrase it better than I just did. Oh, the humanity. A rallying call, therefore, from friend of the channel, Blake Hughes. F1, detached from reality, and they talk all this stuff, right? Open and honest, transparent, connected to what's going on in the real world as far as the automotive industry and its line of channel, therefore. Sustainability, etc. Well, what about this? They're not even paying market rate, that Blake can go to WEC and earn more as a part-time race engineer than he could as a full-time one in Formula One. That ain't right. That's not good. We need to speak to that. This conversation, no, this subject topic needs more air and sunlight. Oh, and by the way, if you think that's bad, this lady, Donna Burkett Bader, again, somebody linked to F1 Director of Marketing, gave this speech at the Auto Sport Business Exchange yesterday. She said as follows: we think about how we engage fans. It's about everything from these big magical moments and all the way through to ensuring that we are connecting with our fans day in, day out. Are they, F1 chat, even allowed to use scissors? Looks good on paper, but you'll never convince me into disbelieving the evidence that my eyes and ears are presenting me. Connection. To get even close to a driver, I need to pay tens of thousands of pounds in paddock passes. I can go to another sport, a UFC, I don't even know, football most of the time, and I can get closer to the drivers, closer to those sports stars than I ever would an F1 driver. So what are we talking about here? Connection. They always like to talk the talk in F1, but finally, sometimes you got to walk the walk, no. Less talking, more bloody action. She continues speaking at the Autosport Business Exchange in London 24 hours ago. We think about how we engage with fans. It's all about everything, blah, blah, blah. Read that bit already. That's certainly both race weekend as well as all the experiences and content and such that we can create outside of that. What content? What content? What is this content as of which Donna Burkett Bader, F1 director of marketing, speaks? Because I'm not seeing it. Where has it been all off season? Nowhere to be seen. What, race reruns and highlights? Well, that's not good enough, is it? Surely. I take exception to this. They're always telling me one thing, like they're constantly reaching out to fans. Do you know what I mean? Joe Boggs, public F1 fan, but I haven't seen anything yet. Where is the evidence of this? What it feels like F1 is keen to entertain is the high net worth client, the celebrity footballer one who will pay tens of thousands of pounds to attend the Monaco Grand Prix on some type of super yacht. Burkett Bader, apparently per Autosport, also stressed the importance of new content being created by F1, not only feeding... I'm done. I can't even read out any more of it. I'm allergic. I'm throwing up in my mouth. So disconnected is the talk, the theory from the F1 practice. I see none of this in real time. And then we're talking about expletive gate. And again, those rules and regulations are set up to do nothing if not separate the fans, push them further away than they already are from the drivers in real time. What are we doing, chat? Forgive me for going scorched earth ever slightly, but I'm sick and tired of this. I've got no bandwidth left using which I can complain about these things that F1 is doing, not doing, and saying it is. All the while, by the way, Adrian Hughes giving an interview on AMUS, and it's part 2 came out yesterday. Part 1 was out, let's say 72 hours ago. In there, he's talked about some things. He's talked about Aston Martin and what he expects. March the 1st, he's going to start proper Aston Martin settings. What's going to be expected of him? Maybe he casts his eye over the 2025 iteration of Aston Martin. That's what Lawrence Stroll will want, because he wants to expedite for their learning curve and start winning races as early as possible. Now, that's what Lawrence Stroll will want. So that Adrian Newey said, listen, I'm happy to help, mate, but 2026 will be my charge. That's what I am here to focus on. Therefore, so too he continued. I spoke about Red Bull. I'll never forget the livery launch last year, the balls that are red. Adrian Newey cut a rather forlorn figure in decision settings. He taught, and again, this is on the back of 2023, which was one of the most, if not the most dominant season as far as an F1 car that we've ever seen. Max Verstappen and Checo Perez won all but one race in that car, Singapore Carlos Sainz Jr. settings, because they failed to set up the car then. But Adrian Newey, on the back of that season, cut a forlorn figure, as if he was troubled somehow. And apparently in this interview, he says that he disagreed with the likes of Pierre Vacher and Enrico Balbo. Too many Enricos. Enrico Balbo, not Cardile. Cardile just left Ferrari now. But he disagreed as far as what design they should be barking up as far as trees. Why? Well, you saw the gun barrels. He didn't like those. And in the livery launch, he said as much. I don't like that. He likes pretty cars, doesn't he? But he also likes fast ones. And since they couldn't fix it, Adrian Newey has been speaking out. He says of the convergence that Red Bull, the problems that Red Bull had last year as far as maintaining a car quick enough, requisite minerals for Maximilian Verstappen to win a championship. He says, obviously, part of that story in 2024 was that McLaren and Ferrari were developing their cars and doing a very good job with it. Flexi wing settings, particularly of the front variety. Adrian Newey continues, I think Red Bull, from what I could see, the car already, the 2024 car and through the very last stages of 2021, I would say, started to become more difficult to drive. Max could handle it. even though it didn't suit him, but he could handle it. Checo couldn't. Started to see more of a difference in performance between the teammates Max and Checo. That carried into the first part of 2024, but the car was still quick enough to be able to cope with it. It's something I was starting to become concerned about, but not many other people in the organisation seemed to echo those sentiments. There was no concern at the balls that are red. From what I can see, says Adrian Newey, from the outside, but I don't know. The guys at Red Bull, this is no criticism of them, always a preface for criticism incoming. He continues, they just perhaps, through lack of experience, kept barking up that same design philosophy tree. They kept going in the same direction. The problem came more and more acute to the point that even Max Verstappen found it difficult to drive. Oh, the humanity. Adrian Newey coming out and talking the truth, right? So too, there's another quote in there that I forgot to mention. Foolhardy of me. He spoke about the reason why he left Red Bull. He said he had a chat with his missus, Amanda Newey, if I recall. And he said that he had to leave. Had he stayed there, he wouldn't have been being truthful to himself. What does that mean, chat? Oh, the humanity, proper. Oh, and by the way, Piero Ferrari, son or grandson of the legend that is Enzo Ferrari, has said of Sir Lewis Hamilton that negotiations didn't just start last year, that they'd had a multitude of conversations, with Lewis Hamilton espousing on a very many occasion his need and desire to drive a Ferrari car. Then, though, many years ago, he was under contract proper, and Ferrari had two drivers that they were looking to keep. All of a sudden, though, the stars aligned. Moses parted the Red Sea, and all of a sudden Lewis Hamilton is now a Scuderia Ferrari driver. Oh, and by the way, have you seen his Instagram saying that he can't wait for the season to start? Me and you both, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Me and you both, chap. I feel like initially seeing the Instagram posts and Lewis Hamilton in the red overalls with the yellow badge and a black prancing Corsa top. Yeah, cool. It was good. It was novel in the first instance, but I'm tired of it now. I'm sick and tired of the Sir Lewis pictures and the Charles pictures, marketing ad infinitum. I'm like, you know what? I echo the sentiments of Sir Lewis Hamilton on Instagram. The first race can't come soon enough. There's only so many pictures that I can stomach of a Sir Lewis and a Charles and a bloody Jack Doohan and a Carlos. So I'm done with it. I want to see some racing now. Oh, and by the way, speaking about the crash yesterday that so impeded upon Sir Lewis Hamilton's progress getting acclimatised, understanding the steering wheel, the different handling dynamic. He's been used to a Mercedes engine for the past gazillion years, as near as makes no difference. The adaptation process. He crashed yesterday, and the speculation was, of course, is Sir Lewis Hamilton passed it? It was Sector 3 again. Again, is Lewis Hamilton failing to do what he didn't do last year, managing the tyres over the course of a lap, a hot lap even. And again, it's the symbiosis of the very mercurial tyres and the ground effect car, the aero map and all suspension. Managing for those in real time. That was the speculation, and I still think I might be on something. However, Ferrari have gotten their Pete Hart hands around this, have they not? And apparently, it was nothing to do with Sir Lewis Hamilton. They told Auto Racer that the accident at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona was probably caused by a bump in the circuit, and that may have unsettled the car. If so, Hamilton therefore wasn't fully to blame. Fully to blame, hey? Interesting terminology. That may be reassuring, but the outcome is the same for the 7-time champion of Ferrari mechanics. He also crashed during the first Mercedes test at Jerez back in 2013. That incident was caused by a brake failure rather than driver error. Lewis Hamilton stands all over the world have said, well, every time he crashes, he goes and wins the next year. Ray, Liam, you're a legend. Hello, I went to Abu Dhabi 21, was lucky to do the pit walk and walk across the finishing line, and all I can hear was it's going Dutch in 2020. Jeez, are we bringing it back to 21, Liam? I don't think I've got the bandwidth today. We'll talk about it. Somehow, F1 conversations always devolve into 2021. Lowest common denominator settings. Oh, and by the way, as I'm losing my voice, what's going on here? Damon Hill pokes fun at Sir Lewis Hamilton, saying that dude is a crash bore. I had to look up this. What's a crash bore? Extremely boring in their mode of behaviour. Damon Hill saying that each and every single time there's testing that Sir Lewis Hamilton has made a habit out of crashing. I want to dignify this with a response, but I just don't think I haven't got it. What are you talking about, Damon? Are you even still in the public eye? Damon Hill, obviously a legend, winning the championship in 1996. But what's he on about here? Lewis Hamilton is a crashing bore. Hang on. I don't understand. You guys are going to have to help me. I was watching all the watch-along reaction. Oh, no, Liam. Don't watch mine. Do not watch mine. I was devastated. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. Listen, I say all of that to say this. Keep one eye on all this news, because I feel like some of the pertinent story arcs will reveal themselves over the next 7 to 14 days as we lead up to Bahrain testing, as we lead up to the F175 and a cheeky livery reveal. But I say all that to say this. Prosecution for now rests. No further questions, Your Honour.